Hello and welcome to our Keep It 100 campaign. I have a special guest with me, Dr. Beverly Roseberry. Beverly, I don't know if I disrespect people, but I know a couple of people who have the title doctor.
Right.
So, this is a kind of laid back environment, but I want to respect you accordingly because I know you had to earn what was necessary to get that doctor's degree. So tell me, as a doctor, is it what's the word? Is it disrespectful not to call you a doctor when you're a doctor?
It is not. I don't look at it as disrespectful because bottom line, I'm still Beverly. But when we're in different settings, you want to give people that acknowledgement. There was a reason why God had me to obtain this doctorate in nursing, and so. It's important that I use the title for, and some people do think that it is important. So bottom line for me is that, if we are presenting, we're doing a conference and stuff like that, they just need to know it one time and then you can call me, brother. You can let them know, how God has orchestrated my footsteps. That's all it's about.
Okay.
It's showing you how God prepared you for where you are right now.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. There's another title that I want to make sure that our viewers understand as we're discussing Keep It 100 campaign, getting 100 books in 100 hands in the last 100 days of the year. Mm-hmm. And that title is now Author Dr. Beverly Roseberry. So I'm proud of Doctor, but I'm really excited about you becoming an author.
Right, I am too.
So share with me how you plan to get your book, Life in the Spirit, in the hands of your readers.
First, I have done a number of things. I started out first by writing the book, right? And, having to select a publisher, which was Global Interruption, as a matter of fact, Enterprises. So, I had to find someone to help me because, God gives us certain skills, but he gives us people to come alongside us to help us to do the things that he's called us to do. And so, I knew about your organization. And so, the first part was to write it. And once I wrote it, it was, okay, now let's get it published. And then after we publish it, how do we let people know? And so you have been very instrumental. Your agency has been very instrumental in showing me the steps that I need to take. You had an idea that, you need to tell people about it, but how do you reach the most people? And so, we started with doing some graphic design, some flyers, and we posted those on Facebook. And it's been an evolution. We started with one, right? And then,
Yeah, the one that I made.
Right. We had one Keep It 100 campaign flyer that I posted periodically, either once a week, throughout the week, And I also know that you need to post at different times because as I looked at the Facebook feed, if you go on Facebook or LinkedIn, it's a constant thing. And so your information gets buried and people may not get to it because there's such one of my favorite words, plethora of other information out there that, especially if you have a lot of people, Facebook friends, then I learned that I needed to do it more than once a day.
Yeah.
So I began to target how I release my information.
Yeah.
So
it's just interesting that you said that you have to post it more than one day, where I have talked to people where they're kind of shy when it's trying to promote or sell themselves. Do you have that challenge?
I did initially. I was like, I was challenged for two reasons. One, it is that, you don't want to pressure people. I'm the type of person when people come to me for Girl Scout cookies, I'll just give you the money. I don't want to go ask a whole lot of people, right? I don't want them to feel like they have to buy because of our friendship, right?
Okay.
Or because of our relationship. And then secondly, it was, getting past, that this is an enterprise, a ministry, connecting ministry and enterprise. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't want to be, too focused on the money, the aspect of selling the book. Right. And so I had to get over that because, my pastor and now my son and pastor was saying, well, how people are going to know about your book? You were telling me the same thing. It's not a bad thing. You have to get the word out. Yeah. So I had to get over that, you know, and it's easier to get over it on Facebook and, the social media. Yeah. It doesn't require a whole lot to just post stuff.
Yeah. And you can schedule it where you can just do it and just leave it alone. Let it do what it do. And one of the things that in the Keep It 100 campaign that is important to find your community, because you have taken the time to be obedient to what you believe God gave you to write. And so therefore he already know the people who needs to read your book. Right. And I hear you have a book signing coming up. So share a little bit about the book signing and why do you think that it was important to have a book signing?
Well, again, getting the information, getting the book in people's hands, getting information, letting them be, hopefully have some people who've had a chance to read it since I've posted it, giving the information and people have purchased the book. But to talk about what the value is in the book, because, there are, books being published every day. And so it is why read Life in the Spirit. And, it is really just, God sharing what is a passion of mine. It's what he desires, but it's also a passion of mine. And that is to live life in the Spirit. And so, so the book launch, with COVID, I was I was all set to do a face-to-face book launch.
Right.
And then, we had to take take a different perspective and a different turn. And so I had a cousin who actually kept saying, I'm waiting on your virtual launch. I'm waiting on your virtual launch. And I was like, oh, then after the second time I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? So now I've set a date. The thing, I think the hardest thing to do is to set a date. For me, when I set a date and start to tell people about that time, that makes me become responsible to completing the task.
Yeah.
And so, that was the hardest part, setting a date. So then now you must work toward it. Of course you can always cancel it, but, learning how I wired and learning, knowing myself. Yeah. That works for me. So once I have a deadline, I might worry you to death.
Yeah. Well, we can learn a lot from those bill collectors for sure.
Right.
And one of the things that the purpose behind the Keep It 100 campaign is because I have been around in this industry for a while. And I have learned that those that self-publish is real easy when you don't have any pressure. And especially if people don't know that you have written a book, it's easy to have books in the car of your trunk, even in your closet in one of your houses, and not sell them, where you sitting up on at least, depending on how many prints you have, $1,000 just sitting in your house.
Right.
And so the way that I look at what happened or come to terms with COVID, of course, we had to make some adjustments, if you will, and begin to think differently. But one of the things that I'm finding that it is actually even easier. Now, it doesn't take away with those who's dealing with the illness of COVID and the other things that's unfortunate that happened with COVID. But yet, as an author, it's given us opportunities to reach people that we probably would have never reached if we was back in the regular way. Right. So that's why it's very important to be intentional about your messaging and being able to share with people what your book about to make them but allow them to be interested in your book.